Shalom. My name is Doug Fassett. I am a biblical astrologer and a Bible code searcher. Today we're going to talk about the signs in the heavens that are coming this weekend. I also have a Bible code, but let's look at what we're going to see this weekend. This is what you're most likely to see if you're in the United States, most of North America, all of South America, all of Antarctica. And this is on the East Coast time. At the full eclipse will be at approximately 12:11 a.m. on May the 16th. But it will start at 10:15 p.m. on the 15th and end at 2 a.m. on the 16th on East Coast time. Many of you remember the Revelation 12 sign in the heavens. This was a particularly powerful sign. You can see here we have the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, all in the constellations between Leo, Virgo, and Libra. Virgo, the Virgin, had Jupiter. She was expecting, and the moon, just a sliver, was visible in Libra. But we're going to see what most people actually saw. And it isn't what they expected. If anyone looked up to see those stars that were visible in the daytime, this is what they saw. They didn't see much of anything at all. But does that mean it's not a sign? Of course not. It was the absolute Revelation 12 sign. There's no question about it. You just didn't see it. Doesn't mean it wasn't there. You just didn't see it. This is the eclipse coming this weekend. You can see none of the other planets are here at all. Only the moon, and the moon is in Libra, and the moon is full, and it is about to become a blood moon. This is what is in the daylight sky on that day. We see the sun, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. All the visible planets, all the ones that you could see at night, are all in the daylight part of the world. Only the moon is the only visible luminary that is going to be available at night. And that in itself is a big warning. This is another look at the coming eclipse and the constellations that are all around, and basically what they mean. So we'll get into a little bit of what the constellations are and all that. The moon is in the sign of Libra, Libra of the balance. It's if we look at the banner of the tribe of Dan, we see the same balance scales as in the constellation Libra. And in Genesis 49:16, it says, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Yasharel. So Dan is the one that brings balance and judgment. And the total lunar eclipse is here in Libra. Let's zoom in a little bit and see what we can find in this. You can see here a little bit closer. We can see here we've got the constellation Virgo, the Virgin. We've got Leo, the Lion, of course. We've got Libra, which is the balance scales, justice, redemption. We have some nasty things. We have a big serpent here that has a crown of 7 stars upon its head. We have the shepherd here that is over the Virgin. We have the Hydra here, the water snake, multi-headed water snake. We have the cup of wrath setting upon the water snake, and the crow ready to pick at its flesh. We can see that the moon is traveling right now out in Libra, but it soon will be in Scorpio. Scorpio is a scorpion, a desert creature. So wilderness comes to mind. Here is the snake handler. According to other information about this constellation, it is a healer that has a snake with a crown, a corona on it. Sounds ominous, and the moon will be traveling through that constellation. This is the only constellation that is on the sun's path that isn't in the zodiacal signs. This is the 13th zodiacal sign, and we only recognize 12. And this is not one that we recognize, even though the sun does go through it every year. And the moon, once a month. We also, over here, we have an eagle. And we also have actually, this is another eagle over here. And we have the constellation Hercules, called the mighty man, the strong one, the mighty man, kind of like a King David. So I decided to do a Bible code, having all of these features in it. So we'll take a look at that next. This is my Bible code. The access term is 144,000. It starts with a quaff, which is 100, mem 40, dalet 4, and then the Aramaic word for 1,000, aleph, lamed, pei. One of the first things I do when I do a Bible code is search for my full name. If I don't find my full name, this Bible code is not meant for me, and I don't go any further. My friend Chris Ray does much the same thing. And if you were to search in his Bible codes, you would see that his full name is in all of his Bible codes. He does some very tight Bible codes. He's a good brother. The next thing I do after I get the access term, and we have the access term down here, it starts at this point right here with the quaff, and then the mem, and then the dalet, the aleph, lamed, pei. If you notice down here, the pei is a different color than the other part of the axis term. That's because it's another word. When I first saw this code come up, I noticed that it had a pay and a quaff at both ends. And I looked further and I saw a wav in the middle. And in Aramaic, a pay, waf, quaff means go out, get out, depart. So I knew that the word was there, automatically going right up the axis term. So I knew it was talking about something going out. And one of the things that you always do is look to see if there are any pre or post letters on there. So I looked and I found a wav. So I was looking for a pay, wav, quaff, wav. So I searched in my Aramaic interlinear and found that pay, wav, quaff, wav means to go out, but we'll look at what that is. There's something more involved than that. Let me. And here is the term that I looked for, the pay, wav, quaff, wav. In the Syrianic interlinear, it means go out, come out, depart. And the very first term that the very first time that this word is used is in Matthew 25, verse 6. Thought that was rather important. And in the middle of the night, sound familiar? There was an outcry. Behold, the groom has come. Go out and meet them. Who is this talking to? It's talking to the virgins. Another time that it comes up, and it comes up about 4 times only, is in Revelation 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven that said, come out from within her, my people, lest you share in her sins, that you would not receive her plagues. So I felt that that term was very appropriate to use. The next term that you would naturally look for, of course, is virgin. And here it is. Bet, ta, lamed, ta. And we can see it's right next to the access term. So that's another thing that convinces me that we're on the right track. And then I looked for a sign. And a sign shows up between here, lamed, aleph, ta. It shares the ta with the virgins. Sign is for the virgins. And a sign also shows up at a skip of 2 right here in the virgins. It's aleph, ta, hey is the sign. And we should search for wise virgins. Here's wise ones. And you can see with the wise ones, it goes down here, the purple colored ones. We can see the mem is right in the middle of the virgins. So wise virgins. Okay. All right. What set the wise virgins apart? There are 2 things that set the wise virgins apart. One, they brought enough oil, and here is the oil. Shin, Mim, Nun is oil. So the wise virgins brought their oil. The other thing that the wise virgins brought with them is we look at the Father's name, Yahuwah, Yod, He, Wav, He. You notice that the He is right above the virgins and is right on the head of the 144,000. And the 144,000 and the virgins would have the Father's name in their mind, in their head, on their forehead, as it were. Later we'll look at where the letters in the Father's name show up in what verses. This is quite important. The next thing that's in here, we see a lot of other things that are in this matrix as well. We find the wilderness, to the wilderness here. And who goes into the wilderness? Well, the elect go into the wilderness and they go forth. Here is a second instance of the go forth, the pay, wav, quaff, wav. And we can see that it's connected with the wilderness and his elect. We also have things that are a little bit scary in here. We have the earthquake. It runs from here all the way and ends with this shin right down here. And the sun goes across here and ends at the same shin. We have darkness that uses the same shin as the earthquake and the sun. We also have down here, we have the blood moon. Dalet, Mim, blood. Yod, Resh, Het, moon. You can see it runs right through the excess term and shares the Mim in the access term, which is the 40 with the access term. And we have the access term itself here. And all these terms show up together: sun, earthquake, darkness, blood moon, and 144,000, and go forth. They're all in there. Another really important feature, and something that the angelic messengers always tell us when they see us, is fear not. They're rather imposing. And the fear not is at a skip of 2 right here. And here we have the Aramaic word fear, the resh, het, lamed, and of course not, the lamed, aleph, low. Fear not. And in the fear not, the earthquake shows up in things to fear not. The sun shows up in things to fear not. So these are things that we, as believers and followers of his name, are not going to have to worry about. I mean, they are going to definitely be a lot of concern, because we're going to see a lot of scared people, a lot of people that thought they knew what they were doing, that thought they were virgins, but they didn't bring their oil and they didn't have his name in their head. Another thing that shows up in here quite a bit is be expectant. And that shares the quaff with the 144,000. Be expectant. It runs across here. It also runs this way. So be expectant, fear not. And for a sign, be expectant of a sign. And let's get a little bit more into when these signs are going to happen. We've got Passover, Pei, Samech, Het, and second right here. And the total eclipse happens on the second Passover. Be expectant, the second Passover. There are some other things in here I'm gonna show you. That we've got a monster that runs down this way. We have a serpent, certainly. Serpent starts up here. And then we also have a casting down of the serpent. It says, I shall cast down. Let's see who it is that shall cast us down. We see the Father's name here, Yod, He, Wav, He. And the Yod in the monster is right next to the He in the Father's name. And right here, the Aleph is the Aleph in I shall cast down. So who is casting down? The Father is casting down the serpent. Who is not casting down the serpent? It is not the name of the Father in the Aramaic Peshitta, because they changed the name. They change it for Moriah, as do Brother Yehuda. They change it for Hashem. So the ones with the changed name are not casting down the serpent. And then there's the sun here. The sun worshipers. Are the sun worshipers casting down the serpent? No, they're not. They're not casting down the serpent either. So let's take a look at where they actually are and how they're interacting. Here is the Father's name. Here is the name of the Father in the Aramaic Peshitta. And here is the Son. You can see they all parallel each other and all are together. But only the Father's name casts down the monster and the serpent. The serpent starts here, and it is cast down. Serpent runs from here down to here. So only the Father, not the sun worshipers or the name substitutors. Now let's look at where all these words are. We have the Hey from Abba, Yahuwah. We have the Mim from Mariah, and we have the Shin from the Sun. The word Shin, Mim, Hey is the name, the Shema. So here is the name, and it's showing that the Shema connects with the Father's name primarily. So we know that the Father's name is the one that we should hear and obey, and it is his name. There are a number of other terms in here that should mention. The Pleiades. When we look at what is in the heavens where the sun is right now, the sun is about to conjunct the Pleiades. So that is another sign. The sun right up here is connecting with the Pleiades. So that's a sign that is in heaven at this point. So let's take a look at some of the other things that are important. Let's look at where the wording for some of the signs comes from. This particular spelling only shows up 3 times in the Peshitta. Matthew 12:39. But he answered and said unto them, an evil and adulterous nation seeks after a sign, and there shall be no sign given to it. In other words, if you just look in the heavens, you're not going to see anything except for blood moons and eclipses. At this time. And Matthew 16:4, basically the same thing. Luke 11:29, the same thing. An evil nation, they seek a sign. There shall be no sign given it, but the sign of Jonah the prophet. This spelling also is found in Daniel 7:13. And I saw in the night visions, and behold, one like the Son of Man came, which is what it means in Aramaic as well, with the clouds of heaven, and came to the Ancient of Days, and they brought him near him. So now let's look at the verses where the Father's name shows up in. The Yod shows up in Luke 10:19. Behold, I have given you authority that you may tread on snakes, scorpions, and all the power of the enemy, and nothing will harm you. Seems like something good to have out in the wilderness, I think. Then the Hay shows up in Luke 13:11. A woman was there who had the spirit of affliction for 18 years, and she was bent over, and she was not able to be straightened up. Yahushua healed her. The Wav shows up in Luke 17:31. And in that day, whoever is on the roof and his stuff is in the house, let him not come down to take them. And whoever is in the field, let him not turn back. That sounds like the times to hit the wilderness. Then the final hey is, and then they shall see the Son of Man, who comes in a cloud with many mighty works and great praises. I think that's a great way to end it. I'm sure that there are probably a lot of questions, and this is most likely going to stir up a large controversy. I look at this as a warning sign. It's like you're on a highway and you're expecting to get somewhere, and all of a sudden there's a big flashing light warning you that something is coming up. A warning sign is always put out before you run into any danger. How far down that road is this warning sign? I'm not sure. Is it right away? Is it months away? I don't know. But thank you for watching, and I hope some of this at least was enlightening to you. And feel free to contact me about any questions you might have. Shalom to everyone.